Losing the love of your life leaves a silence no words can fill. When my spouse Debbie, when she passed away, it felt like the light in our home went dim. The grief wasn't just mine. I mean, it swept through my entire family, my children, like a storm. Every room whispered her name. Every day felt like a new ache. But even in the middle of that heartbreak, I found myself clinging to God, not always with strength, but with, I guess you could say, desperation. I didn't have all the answers, and I still don't, but I really do believe with all my heart that love really doesn't die, and that one day, by God's grace, we will be reunited, Debbie and I. And until then, I just walk through the pain with faith. So, hey guys, today's message is deeply personal for me. It comes from the rawest place in my heart. If you've ever lost your husband or your wife or your soulmate, the silence that follows can really be deafening. You know what it feels like to wake up and feel, their absence, more than, I guess you could say, your own breath. And I do too. And today I just want to talk about what it means to I guess you could say, keep living when the one you love most is gone. It's not easy. You see, losing a spouse is unlike any other kind of loss. It's just not grief after a death. It's grieving a life you built together. And in my situation, 45 years. It's waking up to an empty pillow, a quiet home, a heart that feels, it just really does feel permanently broken. And this is not just pain. This is, I guess you could say, this is a kind of a heartbreak that really shakes the core of who you are. But even through the sorrow, and I guess you could say even through the loneliness, there's hope. And I want to speak that into you today. Grief after the death of a spouse is, it's overwhelming. You're not only mourning a person, but the shared routines, the laughter, the future plans, and the sense of being truly known. Many days I don't think I could move forward. But I've come to learn that the grief is just not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of deep, eternal love. Grieving my spouse has taught me, Mark Height, that the pain I carry is equal to the love that we share. It really is. So I'm hoping I can encourage you a little bit. If you're a widow or a widower, I want you to know that you're not alone. The journey may feel isolating, especially when friends or family don't fully understand. And that does happen. But there are communities, there's support groups, and people like me who truly get it. And my friends, this isn't about just moving on. It's about moving forward with love, with the memory, and with grace, which is like God's favor. Coping with loss, it's not linear. Some days, you may feel strong. That's what I do. And other days, the grief may hit you like a tidal wave. That's just normal. You got to give yourself permission to cry. That hits me right out of the blue sometimes. Give yourself permission to smile without any guilt. Write letters to your spouse. What are some other things? I guess you could light a candle. Look at some old photos with social media. I get that stuff every day. Do what keeps your love alive in healthy and healing ways. Remember, healing doesn't mean forgetting. It really doesn't. It just means, you try to find ways to live with the love that still burns inside of you. And for me, faith has played a big role. I believe love never dies. It just doesn't. I still believe my Debbie is still with me somehow, some way. We've got grandkids now. We see a lot of her in that situation. And I believe, your spouse is with you too, watching you, cheering you, smiling at your courage, don't forget, you're stronger than you feel right now. You really, really are, my friends. So life after losing a spouse is, it really is a complete reset. The future you imagined is suddenly erased, and yet somehow life still asks you to keep going. So this is my search. How do you rebuild? Well, you begin by taking one small step at a time. You honor your spouse by living the life they would be proud of. And I know my Debbie is looking down on me right now. There was a day I sat on the edge of the bed, and I'll share this with you. Still hearing her laugh and still, reaching for her hand. And basically I just broke. But those tears, you know, I just whispered, I will keep going for you, Debbie. And I would encourage you to do the same thing. That whisper to me became a promise, and that promise becomes a purpose. Don't ever forget that. If you're watching this and you're missing your husband or your wife or your soulmate, please do me a favor, my friends, and hear me. You, yes, you, are not broken beyond repair. You're not weak for grieving. You're not alone. You are, carrying a legacy of love that will never fade. And let that spouse's memory be your strength, not just your sorrow. So let me close with this message for you today. I still miss my Debbie every single day. And there's just some part of me, I believe, always will. But I've also found peace. I've also found that grief and love can live side by side. That healing doesn't mean letting go. It just means holding on a little bit differently. So to you today, my friends, watching this with tears in your eyes, I'm with you. I really am. Let's keep walking. Let's keep living. Let's hit the mark today for them and for us.